I'm Reese.
And I'm Dea.
And we are
Literally Dead. Happy Pride!
Happy Pride!
Are you gay? Hi, gay. How are you, gay?
Please be gay.
Be gayer than you were yesterday, gay.
Or try it at least. Just give it a try. How do you know that you're straight if you've not tried it?
That's true.
How do you know?
How's your Pride month going?
It is actually Pride Month. So
Yeah.
I cannot answer that. Rough.
Oh
Yeah. I'm not feeling very gay.
no. Oh.
What about you?
It's going okay. I'm staying with these gay people for a week. They're pretty gay.
Yeah, same. I am people. Yeah, no, Pride is always a weird time for me. That sounds so much more serious than what I'm about to say. But it's just like date-wise. You know, like Christmas every year when it feels like it starts earlier and ends earlier?
Ah, I see what you mean.
It's very similar with Pride, and I think it's because in the UK, more specifically London, the parade and stuff ends up happening in like the first week of July.
Yeah.
Like after June.
It's never in June, which is so odd to me because it's not even during Gay Pride Month, it's during Disability Pride Month, which is so odd.
I think the issue is I think it's supposed to be the Saturday or something of the last week of the month, which always ends up bleeding into, I think there's a few times it's literally right at the end of June, but then most of the time it bleeds into like the 2nd of July or the 4th, I think it is this year.
Fair enough.
But then there's other Pride events, like I know Brighton Pride I think is in July or August.
Yeah, I think it's in August.
Which is crazy. And then there's a bunch of other rides from Birmingham to Manchester all over the country, and they're all on completely different dates, and it's kind of like you can tour them all. They sort of start and you can follow up into September. I wouldn't be surprised.
That's crazy. I've only really gone to the London Pride events. I can't be asked to travel that far.
I went to the Birmingham one, I believe.
You went to Canadian Pride?
I also went to Canadian Pride. By accident.
Yeah.
We had no idea we were landing during Pride, and then we were just walking with our suitcases through the parade.
That's lovely.
Yeah, it was. Anyway, how's your Pride? I know you said like, oh, we're with these gays, but like, how do you feel about Pride?
I feel okay. I feel it gets me to like reevaluate my connection to queerness and the queer community a lot. Like I try and watch more gay films around this time of year. I try and learn more about the history every time of year.
Do you try any new like genders or sexuality during Pride? Just to see?
Weirdly enough, right, so I came out as pansexual and then I couldn't go to Pride for a couple of years because of just various things like COVID and then one year I had COVID at the end of it, like after everyone else had stopped having, which is quite funny. And so I knew I was pansexual for a few years before I went to any Prides. And then the last Pride I went to, or was it the Pride before that? I think it was the last one. They were giving out like temporary tattoos. And I was like, I'm going to try out the like non-binary symbol. This was before I really started telling people about that. And I was like, because Pride is such like a safe, welcoming environment, I felt like, oh, this is just actually just who I am.
Yeah.
So funnily enough, I did try out a new gender for Pride one year. I think I'm quite happy as I am right now, so I don't think I'm going to try anything new this year. Maybe I'll try and actually speak to people this year.
Yeah.
Because I suck at like approaching people and talking to them.
I think we tend to view exploration of queer identity as linear in the sense that you progress forward, right? So you might be gay, and then you might be non-binary, and then you might be, trans, and then you might be a different kind of gay after that, right?
Yeah.
But it's not always that linear. Sometimes there's back and forth, and sometimes people just go to the side.
Yeah.
Sometimes people think they're gay, and then they sort of go bisexual, and then maybe they find their way back or identifying as pan. Maybe they're non-binary and straight now. Who knows?
Sexualities and genders are so fluid and different, and if you haven't had the chance to look inward and see where you are yourself, like just give it a go, because you might find you're actually completely comfortable in yourself, and that might be really reassuring, but you also might discover something new.
Yeah, you never know what happens when you look inward.
Yeah. What?
She didn't catch it.
I didn't catch what? What did I not catch?
I said lick inward.
Oh!
You can probably tell it's Pride. We are doing a Pride film like we do every year. By that we mean just a queer horror film with queer characters, themes, etc. I think we have quite an interesting one today because it's not just queerness. I think it really specifically hits the hammer on the head of a very specific queer experience.
Yeah. I mean, last year we did it quite different. We actually started the podcast during Pride.
Yeah, we did?
With a gay vampire film. And then last year we did Knife Plus Heart, which was very much, it had lots of different sexualities, genders involved in that. And then this year it was more focused on like lesbianism and comphet. And the film we chose this time was Huesera, the Bone Woman from 2023. It's a Spanish language film.
Give us that spoiler-free synopsis.
Yes. Before I do, I just want to remind everyone to like, subscribe, comment, share. We are on Instagram, TikTok.
Wherever you get your podcasts.
Wherever you get your podcasts. We're going to spoil after this little synopsis. Decide if you're coming or going.
Or both.
An expectant mother must turn to a coven of witches to undo a sinister curse. So our main character is Valeria, and she is expecting a baby. And she's been cursed.
Spoilers after this point. You've been warned.
You've been warned.
Okay, to start the film. We did say that she is an expecting mother, but at this point, she is not pregnant yet.
Mm.
It starts with this shot of all of these women, some seemingly pregnant, some seemingly not, climbing up these very large and long steps up to a ginormous golden statue of Mother Mary.
With the baby Jesus coming out of her feet.
Yeah, which it becomes very clear that this is some kind of like holy spot where people go to for maternal and fertile blessings, right? Whether that's like, please let my pregnancy go well, please help me with strength as a mother, or
Please protect my baby.
Help me get pregnant, you know?
Mm.
And she gets blessed by someone, and she has a sort of defeated face on, very... So we can figure out, oh, she's been struggling to have a baby from her face. She definitely has been quite a journey. But right after the statue, she gets it on with her man.
That evening then, she's conceiving with her partner Raoul. And she's just not into it at all.
She's disconnected.
Like, she's joking and laughing, but she's not, like, feeling it
Yeah,
at
she's
all.
like, okay, come on, just finish. Yeah, and he's like, yeah, okay, I was coming. And she's like, oh yeah, let's go. Good job. And he finally finishes.
Oh my god.
Yeah, the alarming thing, though, is it's hard to read into. Because, as far as I've seen, this is just straight sex. So I want to be like, oh, she clearly is disconnected. This might have something to do with how she feels in the relationship. Also, I've never seen a straight woman not that disconnected. Most straight women, at least once or twice, have been that way.
Do you think Raoul just thinks that's how it's supposed to be?
Maybe. I wouldn't be surprised if she was his first. He gives the vibe of like commitment.
Yeah.
Like very much like the type of guy who like married his first girlfriend.
Yeah. Well, he seems nice enough.
This thing that happens in relationships, time to say this now, but when one person is slightly unhappy, but they're hiding that, and they can be hiding that for any reason.
Ooh.
We'll find out later about ours, but they can be hiding it for any reason. But what happens when they're so fiercely hiding this deep secret or deep thing with themselves of unhappiness in a relationship, it causes the other person to think that they have the most perfect relationship. Because not even natural, normal issues, dilemmas, arguments come up when the other person is trying their hardest to hide the biggest thing. They hide everything.
That or they've emotionally checked out completely, and so they have no bandwidth to argue. You ever see those guys who's like, my wife divorced me out of nowhere. I never saw it coming. We had no problems in our relationship. It's giving very much kind of that.
It's very similar to anyone who's ever like experienced being like closeted and stuff, you know, not being able to tell people what was really going on in your life because there was this big part at the center of it that you couldn't touch because you couldn't come out, and so you had to hide sort of everything you were going through. But it just means that people around you, and in this case your partner, thinks that they have the best relationship ever. Yeah, we never have any grievances and we're so happy and we love each other so much.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but it happens a lot.
They kind of joke around after the conception.
She's got her legs in the air, letting her soak.
Ooh, it's so gross to me. Ugh. Sorry, straight people. I just think the way you breed is disgusting. The way I was conceived is disgusting. Oh. Then the next time we see her, we knew she was a lesbian instantly because she's wearing a jumpsuit and she's doing carpentry.
Yeah, she's a carpenter. But you don't have to be gay.
No, but as soon as I saw her do it, I was like, that's a lesbian.
Yeah, it's the way she does it, the energy, the way her hands move.
She knows what she's doing.
I remember those. Anyway, sorry, what? Oh, you know what I did think was interesting here?
Yeah.
We're dealing with sort of Mother Mary, Baby Jesus kind of vibes, right? And then we're dealing with her getting pregnant and on this journey. But then also she's a carpenter, which yes adds this like queer alternative beyond the gender expectations thing, but also carpentry.
Jesus was a carpenter.
Is given, it's very, you know, along those lines. And I think it's quite interesting too because, and I noted this down within these segments, but this felt so different than every other film I've ever seen of a woman trying to conceive a baby, where I'm experiencing a woman and her baby. This film at this point feels like I'm just watching a woman who happens to be trying to be pregnant, or a woman who is pregnant, but a woman. It was so detached from the baby or the expectation of the baby.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Well, you see it throughout the movie. She's constantly trying to separate herself from this baby. But it will come up a lot. Like when he goes, the baby's there, she'll go, it's not a baby yet. Like there's lots of shots where you know, she like it cuts her in half.
Yeah.
Things like that, which I think it really illustrates like how detached she feels from this life that she's forcing herself to live.
I agree. It just was crazy to me how early on the filmmaking was reflecting that. And it also kind of made me realize how many movies about pregnant women or women having kids kind of almost felt a little bit misogynistic.
Yeah.
In comparison, because I realized like how much it decenters the woman.
Yeah.
Even though she's the main character.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wow, like, I know it sounds crazy, like, oh, I just discovered this. But like, no, genuinely, there are some films that I think like, oh, that's such a big character that I love that representation of that woman. She's so well written, and etc. Yet still, the way the filmmaking is made, they give so much prominence and time to a character you can't even see.
The hand is always on the bump.
Yeah.
She's always huffing and puffing. There's always a "how's mommy" kind of thing, as opposed to and you know, it's really reflective of real life. Like
people always address the belly before the woman.
Whenever a female family member of mine gets pregnant, I notice it. Like I see it straight away, and I'm just like, no, I'm just gonna ask about her. I don't give a shit about the baby. Not that I don't, because you know, they're growing a human being, and that's lovely, but.
It's important. I mean, once that thing comes out, it's going to be so loud and annoying that you know, it's going to take up all the attention. So why are you starting early?
Yeah, and I think a lot of, like, I've definitely heard it about it from, like, my mom, where you kind of lose your identity a little bit once you start conceiving and having children.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, the brunt of the parenthood also in a lot of heterosexual marriages is all put on the woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's terrifying. That's, like, my worst nightmare.
She gets distracted by a spider on the wall. Has a little like scare with her blade, but she doesn't hurt herself, she's fine.
Yeah. And then the next bit is when she goes to the doctor, she gets a test, and she tells her boyfriend she's pregnant. Yay!
He seemed very excited. They have this cute moment where they fight over an envelope. I liked that.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. Another thing I want to mention about the relationship, they barely ever talk to each other.
No,
They're always in each other's presence.
Yeah.
But they have incredibly strong non-verbal communication. It is always glances and smiles at one another, or even little sounds.
Yeah.
Little cute sounds that go back and forth.
It's very different to how she interacts with a different person that comes up later in the
anyone
movie.
else really.
Yeah. Then it goes to like they're in like a furniture store and they're looking at cribs and stuff, and the mother-in-law is like, I'll buy this crib for you. And she's like, no, I'm going to make my own. It's not really my style. But the mother-in-law just keeps insisting, like, no, it's lovely. Like, this is going to be a present from grandma. And she's like, no, it's not my style. And Raul is like, oh, we'll just put it up when she comes to visit. Like, we won't have to use it all the time. Valeria really does not like this crib.
Yeah, I don't like either.
And it kind of, like, you see bits of Raul's family and her family later on. Like, this is a very, like, family-oriented movie. And it just seems like his family are a lot more well-off than her.
Oh, yeah, they are.
And they're very snobby and pushy, and I hate
she
that.
comes from a poorer background.
Yeah.
And she makes everything herself, which I do think that there is a, you know, very obvious element of the fact that she comes from a poor background. She'd much rather make things and create things herself than the money. But I also do think, and this is maybe me reading into it way too much, but from a queer perspective, when it comes to heteronormativity and domestication, and queer people having to figure out how to do life not in the way that we were told to do it, because we don't fit into those boxes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like when queer people realize, oh, how do we do a wedding?
Yeah.
You know? Like, as like two lesbians being like, oh, what do we wear? Like, we're not having a religious wedding, so how does that look?
Yeah.
What are the outfits? What are the guests? And in that same way, it's like having to create, she creates everything from scratch, all of her furniture, everything that means something to her, she has to create herself, and she doesn't just use the pre-packaged version that's sort of supposed to come. And I think that kind of, again, me reading it too much reflects that element.
No, because I read into it a little differently, because I kind of felt like it was, like, I think every queer person I know has a craft.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have loads of crafty hobbies, you do too, like, all the queer people know, they have a craft that they do. I think it's very indicative of, like, how creative queer people tend to be, but also, like, it's very nice to have a small thing that you can create in a way that isn't laid out for you by society as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's also nice to have a bit of control, because when you grow up being perceived as female, you don't get like a set of options. It's more like a set of steps to a life plan, right? You go to school, then maybe you go to uni, then you have a baby, you get married, that kind of thing. And so I can definitely see that this is like an aspect that she wants to control. It's like, okay, if I'm on this life path, then I want to know, like, I want to decide how my baby's room is going to look.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make the furniture myself. In that way, she's also trying to connect with her baby and her life that she thinks she needs to live, right? Because she's like, well, if I'm giving a piece of myself to this baby, then maybe I will love it, you know?
100%. Exactly.
Yeah.
We're reading this fulfilled. But we cut to Mother's Day. She's driving somewhere with Raul, her husband.
They pick up flowers off the street, like from his vendor.
And then they get to Valeria's mother's house, where we meet her sister, who has some slightly older kids.
Yeah.
Kind of like 8 to 12, maybe. They seem to have a bit of a weird relationship, her and her sister.
Yeah.
It's not very good.
But she seems to have a weird relationship with everybody.
That is true, besides her aunt.
Yeah.
But the rest of her family, her 2 parents and her sister, seem to be quite strained.
Mm.
There's quite an interesting shot here, I'll actually say, where she's talking to her sister, saying something about motherhood.
Yeah.
And there is a chicken carcass, it's like a whole chicken, that gets split in half.
Yes.
But it's split from the stomach.
Mm.
It's torn open, which I thought was visually quite interesting.
Valeria has told her parents and stuff that she's having a baby, and so when she says Happy Mother's Day, they're like, oh, Happy Mother's Day to you too now, like, and it seems like very much like the mother is kind of not accepting but like tolerating Valeria more than she may have used to, because it seems like there's a history in basically all of her relationships with everybody, right? Like she used to be a different person. Valeria's like, well, can I maybe practice babysitting with your kids and stuff, to her sister, and she's like, well, I don't know, like, you dropped a baby when we were babysitting as children, and like now he's a little slow.
But they tell the story as if it's funny.
Yeah.
They are all laughing about that story.
And Valeria's not having it.
I think it's also with that mother thing, and this is about to happen, so I'll say it now, but we bump into someone who hears that Valeria was at this Mother's Day event, and she says, oh, since when do you care about that? I think that's so important because it shows that she, as you said, like, never cared about or had interest in those kind of things. And her mother's interest and excitement feels like it's almost like her mother trying, it's like when someone's trying something new that you really want them to like.
Yeah.
And you're like trying to be really supportive about it.
Really
like,
excited about it so that you can, encourage more enthusiasm.
And that's what it feels like.
Yeah. They leave this event, and then when they're driving back, they meet Octavia, who, exactly says, like, you don't really care about that kind of thing. And they're talking, like, Octavia's kind of in the window of the car, basically.
And she's ignoring Raul in the driver's seat. She doesn't even perceive the man exists.
And I was like, well, it's been years since we've seen Octavia.
Yeah.
Oh, and it doesn't seem like Raul likes her that much either, to be fair.
I mean, I'm revealed this now, but who does love their partner's ex?
There you go.
Very few people.
Octavia is Valeria's ex.
Yes, lesbian ex.
And she's alt, and she's kind of sexy.
Yeah, she's got curly hair, and she's got like one red streak of curl. Cute.
What a gorgeous woman.
Octavia, the woman.
And by the way, in this entire like scene with the mother and stuff, they basically say, oh, the chemicals in your carpentry, they're not very good for like babies and stuff. Like you're gonna have to pack it away. So it's like just drawing her passions, I guess.
Yeah, it's because Valeria's appetite has gone, and she's starting to lose weight. So they're worried about her health, and this is the initial meeting about it. So the doctor does say you should like stop your carpentry for now. But also, as we find out, her carpentry studio needs to now be the baby nursery. It's the only spare room they have in their very nice apartment. And so she starts packing it away. Well, she puts it off. She's very like procrastinating about it. She clearly doesn't want to.
Yeah.
And she keeps being reminded of it.
She's sad.
But she does start packing it away. And I wanted to give props to the set design because there was a good amount of tools.
Oh yeah.
It felt lived in. Like it felt like she had enough tools where she had that tool but doesn't really ever use it that much.
Yeah.
And that's what I loved about it. I was like, I believe this room.
They also had those, when you like paint the outline of the tool like on the wall and stuff. I was like, that must have taken a little while. Like fuck.
But little details like that just shows how much she cared about that space and room. That she, as a character, would have done that. And so the set design, like
the rest of the house isn't really in her like style.
Props.
But that room specifically was.
So much care. And she puts most of it into a cupboard.
In a toolbox. With loads of like alt stickers and stuff like that on it. And when she's rummaging through, she finds like I think it's a flyer from an old band she used to play in because she also used to have a guitar as well.
And it was like a crucifixed uterus.
Yeah.
Not crucifix, crucified uterus.
I thought it was a naked woman.
So it was technically a naked woman, but it was a uterus.
Oh.
That was in like, because the shape of the uterus, right?
Yeah.
The arms are up, kind of like being crucified.
Yeah.
And then within the uterus, it was kind of like morphing into like, it was like a woman who was crucified.
That's fucking sick.
So it was like blended into it. It was very like
cool. I want to get a print of that.
Very cool imagery.
Yeah. And she puts that back away. She packs up her room.
Valeria, after packing up her stuff, she tries to have sex with Raul. She's very dominant. She climbs on top of him, she pushes him down, but he stops and he refuses because he doesn't want to hurt the baby.
She thinks it's creepy.
And that's when he, she says, oh no, it's gonna be fine. There's not even there's no baby yet. And he says, yes there is. And he like sort of coochie-coos at her belly. and it makes her deeply uncomfortable.
It would make anyone uncomfortable. Like, he's not... Yes, Raul's a nice guy, but in this scene, I just felt like he didn't really see her anymore.
Mm-hmm.
He just saw like an incubator.
And it's also important to note, like, as she said, like, she didn't even look pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yet he's still only thinking about her stomach or what could be in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they decide just to go to bed, and in the middle of the night we have a little haunt.
Yeah, so she wakes up in the middle of the night, and she decides she's going to take like a quiet moment, like outside. I think she has a cigarette, doesn't she?
Maybe.
She does have 1 or 2 cigarettes while pregnant, but like not throughout the rest of the film, because it's established that she like was a chain smoker before this, but when she's super stressed, she'll do like 1. But she's having this quiet moment on the balcony, and she's looking over and she sees the neighbor like across the street, and there's like a light and a silhouette in the window, and the person, does she wave at her?
Yes.
I was going to say, they acknowledge each other.
Yeah, there's an acknowledgement.
Yeah, and then the woman on the opposite balcony, or window, is it window or balcony?
It's a window.
A window.
She climbs out and she jumps.
Climbs out and jumps, and it's not like made a big deal of. It literally, it's so like, I'm going to do this now. You know.
And she cracks her bones.
And the shins come out of the... Oh!
Before she jumps out the window, she like snaps her neck and her shoulders, like, and then jumps.
Yeah.
But like, as you said, the shin... And they love that, don't they?
They do.
They fucking love bones sticking out of limbs. It's like the motif. They do it on, like, everything.
Yeah.
It just keeps happening.
And then she's lying on the tarmac, and the woman, she like pushes herself up and looks at Valeria, but her face is all blurry.
Yeah.
And obviously Valeria like freaks out and gets Raul, and he's like, there's nothing there.
The next bit, there's a few sequences that are all over the place, sort of mixed in. All that's important to know is that it's sort of a more doctor note about how she's showing symptoms of anemia. There is more of moving around the baby stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of Valeria, again, just trying to figure out where she stands and stuff.
Yeah.
But then we can pretty much get to the next sort of haunt that happens where Valeria's up late at night and there is a knock at the door.
This one was super freaky to me. So she's walking slowly towards the door, and the knocking gets like louder, and like it's like banging on the door, right?
Yeah.
And then she looks out the peephole and there's no one there. And then she opens the door.
There's just a shadow that kind of moves.
Yeah. So she opens the door, she walks outside and like onto the hallway, and she's looking around, she can't see anybody, so she walks down the stairs, right, to the front door of the apartment block, and then we see above her the bone woman has crawled into her flat and like shuts her out. It's fucking terrifying.
So she runs upstairs banging on the door to get back in. And Raul opens the door, obviously he's just woken up, and she's like, something's in our house, something broke in.
Yeah.
It locked me out. And he's like, oh, just look. And he shows that she'd left the window open.
Yeah.
He says it was just the wind. And, you know, they do have, he has to look around, but there's nothing.
Yeah.
So she's comforted enough to go back to bed. But she goes and contacts her aunt, doesn't she?
Yes, she speaks to her lesbian aunt, who was alluded to in the family gathering, but I don't think she was there. And they said, oh, well, you don't want to be like your aunt who's a spinster. But then we meet the lesbian aunt, and she's just clearly a happy lesbian living her best life.
Yeah. We know they have a good relationship because she is actually there at Mother's Day. And she pulls her aside when she goes to the toilet.
Oh!
To say, like,
yeah.
I told you the Mother Mary's actually work. Like, and the way that she speaks to her aunt then is already so different than the way she speaks to the rest of her family. They have a much better relationship.
Yeah.
But what got me about this moment that she's with the lesbian aunt is us figuring out that she wasn't a lesbian. We thought, but we knew now.
It was a simple thing. She was like, oh, my friends are coming. And it was like a group of like eclectic old ladies. And I was just like, is she gay? And like, then there was like a bit like an arm touch or something like that. That we were like, oh, she's lesbian. Great.
Because they came up with these like beers that look really good. They seem to have like some kind of, I don't know, chamoy or something on the rim that look good. Yeah, they look a good time. They looked a good time.
In it.
Just by how happy they were, I could tell they were gay, you know?
Yeah.
And that's when she gets invited in to this place she's been in the waiting room for. And it seems to be some kind of occultist, white witch person.
Herbalist.
And she's obviously told her that she's seeing this evil presence, that she feels like there's something on her. So she does a reading on her with this like spider web and water. It's very creepy. But she speaks about, and this is very important words, but she says things like, your house is a prison, which again is knocking on all these themes of, you know, domestication and feeling entrapped in that, etc.
Yeah.
And that's when she does a little spell on her to dispel it.
Yeah, and she's like, well, this should work and it should make you feel better. You know, there is another method you can use, but I don't dabble in that stuff because it's too dark. You have to ask your aunt about that one. There's lots of spiders in this movie, which is interesting because, like, I guess spiders are seen as, like, the most sacrificial mother in nature, right? Because oftentimes spiders will carry their young on their backs, right? And then once this babies hatch, the mother will die, the babies will eat the corpse.
Mm-hmm. And then some breeds, I think it's Black Widows is one of them, they will mate with the male and then kill the male, and then they'll lay their eggs inside the male so that when the babies hatch, they'll eat their dad instead.
Crazy.
But no one ever cares about dads, huh? No one ever cares about their
But you see spiders imagery a lot in like mother horror movies.
Yeah, you do. I'm just being funny. To be fair, it wasn't his
It's
fault.
Men's Mental Health Month, guys!
He was just trying to nut, and she said, "You're gonna pay this child support in the form of his carcass feeding the kids." I've never seen spider sex.
And it's not really something I would look up, to be honest with you. It doesn't sound that interesting to me.
Never looked up any kind of really niche kind of like animal sex. Just been like, how do they even do it?
Do you know what? I looked up a snail penis once because I was like, how do they have sex? Like,
See how do snails do it, and they can swap.
that's cool.
I'm
I'm
pretty sure snails can swap their whatever, you know.
We're gonna start injecting snail DNA, man. I want to swap.
I think they can all do it. So I think it's sort of like every time they meet someone, it's like, who wants to
Who wants to buy?
who's gonna be the gorilla? Like, yeah, who's gonna bottom? Like, or who's gonna start? Maybe they're all like, you know, they both like put their butts together and like, oh, you wanted to. Oh, I thought.
You know, like the sometimes online they'll be like, there's a top shortage in my city or something like that, right? It's like that. It's like snail grinder, and they're like, who wants to switch? There's a top shortage stop.
And it happens in real life. It happens in real life. You have bottoms becoming tops because of shortages. It's evolution.
Wow.
Wow. Wow. They find out the gender of the baby.
Yeah.
It's a girl.
It's a girl. It's Miss Turner.
It's I will say when they're looking at the ultrasound and seeing the gender, the doctor's been very cute about it, and then Raul was like, "Oh my gosh, she's so cute," blah blah blah, and that's when Valeria's like, "Where's the baby?"
Yeah.
And she's looking at this monitor. He's like, "Oh right, they're pointing," and she's like, she can't see the baby in the ultrasound.
But the ultrasound kind of morphs.
Yeah, as we kept going to her POV, it pushes in, and it does. We see the babyish, but it's creepy, and it, as you said, morphs, and we see what she's seeing and how. She's very like, I'm going to use the word dysphoric, right?
Yeah.
About this thing that's inside of her and already disconnected from it.
I see that. She really doesn't see it as a baby.
No.
So she finishes the nursery, and then there's like a kind of happy montage now that the like blessing has been done on her, which lasts for a while until like she like looks and has this ultrasound thing, and then there's a shot of her like lying on the bed, and there's a hand that reaches up and breaks her ankle.
It's her foot.
Her foot, sorry.
I know, I have to specify this because I've never seen this.
Yeah.
If it was her ankle, seen that before. This hand breaks her foot.
Yeah.
Like it turns her foot and like, imagine your foot snapping halfway. Like, I know, it was that like, I've never seen that.
Yeah.
That's how like crazy the break was.
Honestly, the like effects in this movie are pretty good. I don't know if they were practical.
I don't think they were practical.
CGI, but some like the effects I think look pretty good.
So it did its practical elements, but majority I think was
Fair.
digital.
But you gotta pay CGIs too. They need to make a living. Even though I do love a practical effect.
Yes, she wakes up from that, and that one's definitely a dream.
Yeah.
Because we see her sort of wake up.
Yeah, and she's like screaming, and Raul runs in, and she's like, my foot broken, my foot broken. He's like, no, it's not.
Yeah, he's like feeling it, he's touching it, he's being very tender.
Yeah.
But she's so convinced. And obviously from his perspective, she's just woken up from a nightmare.
Yeah.
And she's pregnant, so obviously she's very turbulent.
Yeah.
He's very sweet. He fills up 2 buckets, one full of hot and one full of cold water.
And he says to alternate them.
And he alternates her feet so that she can like feel embodied again.
I never heard of that before though. Like to do the cold and then hot.
Not necessarily, but it makes sense when I hear it. If someone like is feeling like their foot is like been broken, I think he thinks maybe that she has pins and needles as well. Maybe it's like a cure for that. I don't know.
Maybe. I've seen people go into hot pools after they jump into like ice water.
Yeah.
Well, that's about it.
It's just because there's a world where he could have just like been like, it was just a dream and
No,
rubbed her
fucks
foot and like put her back to sleep. But no, he's like, okay, you clearly feel something. Obviously, he's not thinking this is real.
Yeah.
But he tries to like care for that and remedy that. So I do think it's important to know, because I don't think he's a bad person. I just think he's a good partner. I just think that he's very unaware of what's happening with his wife.
Yeah. He like, tells her to relax because he's going to like a work thing. And so she takes a bath and she like plunges her head underwater, which she does a few times. It's a way that I think she likes to like relax when she plunges her head underwater.
Yeah.
And she goes into a flashback basically of her when she was younger, and she had like a buzz cut, and she was with all of these really cool like punk gays, like of all different identities, which is so fun, and they all had like different style.
And they were so young.
So cool.
Especially teens.
Yeah, and they were like over like a fire, chilling out. Octavia turns up, and they're like, well, you have to tell Octavia before before we do because like this is a big thing. And we're like, well, what's the big thing, right? And so they go and they have their chat, and it seems to be during a time when those two were together. And Octavia's planning on leaving the city, and she's like I hate this fucking city. Like we have to go so we can be free, that kind of thing.
Going to the mountains.
Yeah, going to the mountains. Valeria says, well, I actually don't want to leave. I don't want to leave my family. I think I'm going to go to school because after my brother died, like, my family just haven't been well.
Yeah.
Because apparently Valeria's brother died and she wants to kind of follow in his footsteps and go to college because her parents were very proud when he went to college. They break up, basically.
Yeah. But it's sort of like a see you later kind of breakup.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to do this college thing and accomplish it. So this doesn't work for now, but maybe down the line.
Which, I mean...
So it was sweet, bittersweet.
Yeah, bittersweet. But you can definitely see why Octavia is a bit bewildered by Valeria's actions, and also why Valeria seems so open to seeing Octavia again, despite the fact that she's, like, married now.
Because she makes it seem so temporary.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, I want to be straight and have a moment now, bye. It was just, I'm taking a break to go to college, and that just turned into...
And I'm going to be a trial wife.
Yeah.
No, but it's like, the thing is we'll get to it in a bit, but like, Valeria is kind of very wishy-washy, which is understandable, like, given her situation and dealing with comphet and stuff like that. It doesn't really excuse the way she treats people. She clearly can't decide whether she wants to live the life of not being herself and being this mother and being stuck in this straight world, or to be herself and accomplish her dreams and like live the life she wants and love who she wants.
Yeah. And I love the end of the scene because the police turn up, and so all of the kids sort of run away. Obviously they're like trespassing, probably drinking when they shouldn't be.
Probably a noise complaint or some shit.
But they're sort of like laughing as they run away because that's the vibe, and they start chanting like.
Oh, they're singing a death metal song, aren't they, or something like that?
Well, they start chanting, "I don't like domestication."
Yeah.
Over and over again, which again it shows like, the clear message here is that they were so anti-domestication.
And now she's in it.
Well, speaking of, and this is why I love this so much, is that you have her chanting, I hate domestication, and it immediately cuts to a shot of her sat alone in the baby's room. Her baby bump is much bigger now, and she's just sat alone in the corner of the baby room, in complete silence.
It's really sad.
It feels like a cage. It really does.
That cut between the two, like, really disturbed me.
Yeah, me too.
So she decides to go and see Octavia. Like, she gets out from the baby's room. She goes.
She goes and finds Octavia at like a kickboxing studio.
Yeah.
And she still smiles at Octavia. Octavia smiles back, and it's like, oh, okay. I didn't know how this was gonna go because the conversation in the car was very tense.
Yeah.
Whereas this, it was like, oh, okay, they can get along, they can speak.
She's a coach or something like that.
Yeah, I think so. I think she's a trainer.
Yeah, it explains why she's so hot.
She comes and meets her afterwards, and I believe they go back to Octavia's.
They go to Octavia's house. They have a like chat about their lives and what's going on.
Octavia has that same like band poster, but it's framed on the wall.
Yeah, she's
Instead of
open about her roots and her sexuality and herself, whereas she's in the closet. Literally, Valeria's in the closet.
And yeah, she put her queerness in the closet.
Yeah.
I don't know why we didn't joke about that earlier. Yeah, that took us a second. Sorry about that, guys. You probably were at home like, why are they not making a closet joke?
Because they didn't know that this was gonna be a representation of queerness, you know?
I think we were pretty obvious by that point.
Yeah.
But we find out that Octavia has finally fulfilled her dreams.
Well, she's bought land in the mountains.
She's bought land in the mountains, and she's preparing to leave, build a house.
Yeah. And that's really cool. Like, I would love to build a house like somewhere, not in the mountains, that's too steep, but you know what I mean? Somewhere nice. And then they have sex.
Yes, and we see the whole sex scene.
Which is, I like that.
Pregnant sex scene.
I like that we see a full lesbian sex scene. I like that. Valeria's immediately more into it than whenever she's with Raoul. She's very much more passionate.
Also, I felt really realistic. It wasn't this weird like, oh, this is so sensual and romantic. I mean, obviously it was sensual, sexy, but like, it was like, this is real sex.
Yeah.
You know, when they were just sat sort of hugging each other and just going to town on each other with their fingers, I was like, yeah, that's valid. That's valid. But sex isn't always this like pantomime of like legs in the air and arched back. Like sometimes it really is. Yeah, sometimes it really is just animalistic and just trying to get as close to the person as possible.
Yeah, it was much more intimate because you see, like, compare this to the sex scene at the beginning of the film, right? Where, like, you don't even see Raoul for a lot of it. You just see Valeria's reaction. In this one, they're basically both in every shot. You know, they're very much conjoined and loving on each other. Which,
there's a lot of shots back and forth as well to the expressions, which is like they're in it together.
Yeah.
Instead of just an over shoulder of just Valeria's face.
Yeah.
Giving as much as they're receiving.
Yeah. Obviously, Valeria very much wants to be with Octavia and live like the lesbian dream and all that. But in fulfilling this wish, she has cheated on Raoul.
She has. And also there's sort of a question of like, has she cheated before? Not that it would change anything. cheat now, cheat earlier.
Yeah.
What's the difference? I will say one thing that I do question about this film is, like you said there, like she does want to be Octavia, but you know, the role situation. But then why is she so set on this heteronormativity? I know from her family it clearly is something that maybe it makes her fit in there a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I just can't understand what happened along the way that pushed her that far. I've seen people in real life who have been like that as teens and that as an adult.
Yeah.
But usually you can see what then led to that.
Well, I think it's a lot of it's the like, now that the brother is gone, she feels like she has to step into his place and be the one that they approve of. Maybe that's why she takes on a traditionally more masculine hobby, or that also, or not hobby, career, but also it could be that carpentry could also be her like trying to be herself even within heteronormativity.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, like, she's very much interested in her family's approval. And to the point where she's forgoing herself. It is incredibly hard to, like, leave your family behind. Did you see that one video of the guy coming out to his Muslim mother? And he, like, promises never to date. It reminded me very much of that.
And she said, good, yes, don't.
Then it cuts to, she's finally getting a chance to babysit her sister's kids. There's two of them in the house. There's a dog chained up outside because he won't stop barking. Everyone goes out. Like, it seems that the sister lives with the parents because of financial issues. So is it 3 of them go out? Or is it 4 of them?
4, because I think it's the sister and her husband.
I can't even remember if the sister has a husband.
Yeah, she might not have actually. Either way, all the other adults are gone.
But that might add pressure to Valeria because she's like, oh, my sister's a fuck up, so that means I have to be the good one, you know?
Yeah. She can't fall back on her parents.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there's an element of that in why she's obviously with a well-off man.
That's true, even though his family treats her like shit.
Yeah, it's her trying to get out of that circumstance so she doesn't become a dead son or a sort of burdened daughter.
Yeah. Dead son or burdened daughter.
Oh my god. Stop.
So these,
you're nasty.
These kids are fucking horrible. In my notes I wrote horrible misbehaved cretins. They are just terrible. At one point they were like, the toilet is not flushing, and so one of them takes a bucket to like flush the toilet. She spills it and then she just dumps the bucket on the floor and just sits on the sofa. She didn't even fucking flush the toilet. She just dumped water on the floor.
And even she giggles. And even before that, Valeria's trying to speak on the phone, so she asks the boy to turn on the TV and he turns it up.
Can't. Like, if they see their mother treating Valeria like shit, they're gonna do the same, aren't they?
Exactly.
Anyway, so she's supposed to do this. All the while, this entire scene, this dog won't stop fucking barking.
It's so irritating. But Valeria, because of the TV sound, has to go into the kitchen to take her phone call.
Yeah.
And when she finishes it, she sees in the reflection of the window the bone woman.
Yeah.
Who is sort of stood within her. So it's almost like when you're looking at someone outside of a window.
Yeah.
And you can sort of stand in each other's reflection. But then the bone woman runs to the right and you notice that the bone woman is actually in the room with her.
Yeah.
I think also that this is like kind of the first really on the nose thing that's like this bone woman is a representation of her or her feelings because it puts them into the same body.
Yeah.
She obviously runs out into the living room thinking that this bone woman has like broken in and is terrified, and so she grabs the kids and tells them that they need to like come with her. Someone broke into the house.
Yeah, so they lock themselves in the bedroom.
She presses the
button that calls the neighborhood watch, which was established earlier, but we didn't care. And then when they arrive, basically they find the dog is dead.
Yeah.
I'm like, the dog was annoying, but he was the least annoying person in the scene. They should have given one of the kids.
They really give it out to Valeria because they basically act like she was crazy and there was nothing.
When everybody comes back.
Yeah, her father does, her sister does, and they point out too that there was like a scratch on the daughter's arm from how like aggressive
and she pissed herself.
Dragged the kids upstairs. Yeah, but it bugged me because I was like, the dog was dead. She's saying someone broke in, I pressed the alarm, and they're like, nothing how did the dog die then? Like, surely that's like,
they said, well, the neighborhood watch people say that the dog choked on its chain. But I'm like, if the dog's been chained up like this for however long and he's not choked so far, like, what would prompt it to do it now?
What would prompt it to?
Maybe the burglar didn't kill the dog, but maybe the dog got upset and choked herself because there was a burglar.
Exactly. The dog would have to like run so hard against the chain.
Yeah.
The urgency to do that would come from there being an intruder. Surely that's like evidence. I don't know. It just...
And then Valeria's sister says something and she goes, oh, people like you don't deserve to have children.
Yeah.
And Valeria, she don't take it because she's like, well, at least I don't have to rely on my parents because I can't handle any fucking money.
Which starts to explain their relationship. Well, it does explain their relationship.
Yeah.
It's clearly tight because of that imbalance. I think also there's maybe some resentment within Valeria. Maybe this is like a relatable queer thing. But the fact that Valeria has to bend and snap herself so much, and that's what it feels like as a queer person trying to conform, but she has to bend and snap herself into whatever lifestyle or unhappiness to make it work.
And you're still never doing it right.
And you're still the least bit, and you're still critiqued, and you're still not perfect because of something about you can't change.
Yeah.
And yet you can have heterosexual siblings who are unsuccessful or burdens or do everything else wrong. You know, it's like when people talk about people are more likely to accept like a sex pest into their family than a gay, you know?
Yeah.
Like no one says anything about the sex pest husband, uncle, but everybody is turning their backs on the gay son. So like that, it's like the bar is so much higher sometimes in certain spaces and families.
Yeah, because as soon as you're different, like heteronormative people, like see that, suddenly they're scrutinizing you so much more than anybody who was born the same as them.
Doesn't matter what you do, you've already failed.
It's fucking ugh.
Oh, also the sister does point out that that Valeria's being fake to Raoul. She's why don't you stop being fake to Raoul? Which I'm like, oh, what does she know? But anyway.
Yeah. Well, I think that the sister's like, you're already a fucking dyke bitch. Maybe you should just be one.
I guess so, but I think she's just pointing out how like she's a hypocrite because she's being very nice to Raoul.
Yeah.
Dinner with
Yeah.
Raoul and what seems to be either his brother or sister and their spouse.
Yeah, so it's his sibling-in-laws, her sibling-in-laws come over for dinner, and they're such assholes. They're like, oh, this is very, like, do-it-yourself, like, crib, right? Very DIY. And then, like, when they're eating, they're like, oh, this is what you prepared for us to eat? Well, we don't usually eat with our hands. Like, that's so disgusting.
So rustic, wow.
Oh.
Very primitive.
Also, anybody who hates eating with their hands is a racist.
That's why she's a spider on her plate as well.
Yes.
I will say during this whole back and forth dinner party, Raoul pulls her aside because after Valeria left the house with all the mess, the dead dog and the kid, she went and spent the night at Octavia's.
Yeah.
But she never told Raoul about any of this. And Raoul says, I spoke to your mother.
How's Octavia doing? Oof, he knows.
Because he knows she didn't spend the night there, so he's like, he knows. But also that tells me that like maybe they've had infidelity in the past. Maybe she's cheated before. Because yeah, he knows about this ex, which is another thing. He knows that she has a lesbian ex.
Yeah.
He knows, I mean, from his perception, she's bisexual or whatever the fuck she's told him. But then have they struggled with that before? And again, that makes me think, who is he if he's gotten over infidelity before?
In my perspective, I think it reads more like, kind of like similar to how her family doesn't trust her because she used to be outwardly queer, right? It would entangle better with the themes if maybe he also has seen her with her, like, you know, in her buzzcut era being queer and shit. And so now he also is like, well, if she was queer before, maybe she's still queer now.
I see what you're saying, but I don't think it was that at all.
No, that's fair enough.
Actually, because I really appreciated the way that he treated it was like any other kind of affair or partner.
Yeah.
In fact, the more, like, he was very normal about it. It didn't give that energy to me. To me, if anything, the queer sort of misogynistic part was his reaction and feelings towards it felt dialed down in the way that it often is when people don't quite take sapphic sex relationships too seriously.
Yeah.
Would he react the same if this was an ex-boyfriend? Or would there be more rage? Would there be more anger?
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely.
That to me is like, yeah, it's my like worried question. Like, is he downplaying this because it's queer?
I don't know. But she takes a minute away from the family. She doesn't really want to be at this dinner table. There's like a loud noises that they keep getting more and more overwhelming until she like drops her cutlery very loudly. So she sits in the baby's room for a bit, and I think this is when she has a really like stressed out cigarette because she just can't deal with it. But then she
turns around because she hears the noise behind her.
And the noise is cool because they turn one of the slats on the baby crib into a bone and the hand snaps it.
Yeah. It's the bum woman.
Yeah.
But she's in the darkness behind the crib and it's just very creepy. I love that shot. Blair kind of screams.
Yeah.
I think it might be something else that happens, but she screams. And then Raoul and stuff runs in, being like, what's happening in here? And the crib is on fire.
The crib that she made herself is on fire. It kind of like the noises kind of get higher again until like that you hear talking, and the talking instead is not about the fire but more about Valeria's well-being and stuff. And so it's like both mums from both sides, like Valeria's mum and Raoul's mum, and they're like talking to Raoul and they're like, well, we could get her committed, or maybe like, you know, we could see it could just be pregnancy brain, like blah blah blah, like all these different things, right? And
especially because she was smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
The implication, it looks like if you were to come across the crime scene that she was smoking and either accidentally or purposely burnt the
crib.
The crib.
Yeah. As the scene fades into view, she's walking into the room, so she can hear all of this shit that they're saying about her. And then the mum, they attempt to be reassuring because they're like, oh yeah, no, we get it. Like, you know, when you start having a baby, you feel like you're being burned from the inside and shit like that.
See, to be fair, I thought it was much there was way more empathy. Because when they're talking about it, it was very much like they didn't want to do this, but you have this pregnant woman who's clearly a danger to herself.
Yeah.
Like, a danger to the baby, but also a danger to herself. And I'm really worried. He didn't necessarily want to. And the mother was saying, oh, we don't have to do that.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying that they weren't empathetic about it, but it reads very much more like you're pregnant now, you kind of have to get on with it. Like, we all feel like that. You know, like when you complain to a boomer about the job market and they go, welcome to being an adult. That's how it felt to me.
I will say, because the Raul was the one who was like, oh, do we need to get professional? Yeah. Be committed? Because obviously crazy. And
I thought it was the mother-in-law that said we could get.
No, it's him. And she says, oh, no, you won't have to do that.
Yeah.
And that's when she comes in and he gets up and she sits with the mother, and that's when the mother does the thing you described, where she's very much like, oh, you know, every mother gets scared and you feel like burning from the inside, and when you give birth, it's like all your bones are breaking. It's fine to be like scared or like feel. Just basically that what she's experiencing is a manifestation of the fear that every mother experiences, and it's very much that thing you're saying of downplaying it. But that definitely comes from the mother-in-law and not Raul.
Oh yeah, Raul doesn't speak that much in this scene, yeah.
And you know, it's unfortunate, and again, that's what I said about the empathetic thing.
Yeah.
So I understand what you're saying about downplaying it, but that only comes because it's impossible in a horror film for people to believe that the ghosts are real.
That's true, that's true.
For them, she's actually watching someone go through something very serious, and from the mother-in-law's perspective, surprisingly so, since the established relationship and balance between his rich family and the way they treat her, she's actually really nice. She really validates her fears, etc. She just doesn't validate the behaviour of burning down the crib. Yeah. So it's that weird thing where, from her perspective, she might think she's empathetic, she might think she's helping, but she doesn't understand what Valeria is really dealing with, which is represented by the supernaturalness, but she can't fathom, but it's also represented by her closetedness. Yeah. How uncomfortable, and that's the thing I'm saying about how it's so hard to really be present or empathetic to someone if they're hiding something so big, because you don't know what they're dealing with. Yeah. You know what I mean? And when someone tries to help you and like, oh, just do this, and it's like, you don't get it, because you can't say, it's because I'm gay, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. They go to the doctor, he gives her antidepressants. I think it's the mother-in-law is sitting with her while Raul's at work at one point, and she's like, oh look, I found this book and it was in the baby's room. Like, no, this is for you. And it was like a picture book, basically, and it was like the mum describing a mum describing a baby in the picture book. It's like, you're the greatest adventure of my life, you're my peace, you're my excitement, you're all of this and that. Because obviously in Valeria's perspective, it feels very much like this is what you're supposed to feel now, and Valeria's realising, I'm not feeling any of this.
No. There's also a very small scene here where Raul was setting up a new crib.
Oh, it's the crib that she hated.
Yeah, the prepackaged one. And he's trying to do one of the things.
And she can't do it.
Yeah. What I love specifically is that she goes into the cupboard. She didn't say anything again, the relationship's so non-verbal. Yeah. But she goes into the cupboard, gets her toolbox, gets an Allen key that she thinks is better, knows is better. And she leans down in front of him and just starts doing it. And he tries to hand her the Allen key and she doesn't even acknowledge it, like, bruv, what are you doing? But I just love that she out-handy-manned him. I'll say man, but yeah, she's out-handy-manned him. It was just so funny. Yeah. I love that.
It's funny.
Her Allen key was bigger. Wait, why do lesbians take... You got one.
Carabiners?
Yeah, these are carabiners, but no one wants an Allen key.
Well, I feel like carabiners are useful because they can hold your keys.
But an Allen key just feels like...
An Allen key, you don't use that every day. You use it while you're, assembling IKEA furniture, yeah.
But it's so symbolic.
Well, it's very phallic, isn't it? So, it's more like a gay man thing.
I think it's actually a heterosexual thing.
Okay, fair enough.
Because think about the way Allen key works. It's all about the right stick going in the right hole that was made for it. Wait, so are Allen keys to straight people as carabiners are to lesbians? Then what do gay men get? I'll think about it. We'll come back.
You can get whatever you want, princess.
Thank you.
Valeria goes to an alt club. It's like a heavy metal kind of alt club. And she sees Octavia flirting with another woman. And she's like, Octavia! They go outside and they're having this conversation which devolves into an argument. Because Octavia's like, what do you actually want? What do you want? Do you want to be with me? Do you want to be with him? Which one do you want? Why are you coming into my life now? Because I don't want to be your side piece, basically. Yeah. And Valeria, she's like, you don't understand me, you don't understand anything, you think you can go off into the mountains and live in your utopia, but that's not what's gonna happen, blah blah blah.
Yeah, basically being Valeria's arguing that her choice to conform isn't a choice, almost. Yeah. That Octavia's way of living is impossible, it's a dream, it doesn't exist.
But clearly it's not, because Octavia's living it!
It happens, but she has to tell herself that to cope. Yeah. Because she has to believe that what she chose wasn't a choice she chose. That this just happened to her, that she's a victim of her circumstances when, no, she's a perpetrator. Yeah. And speaking of, that's why it's very interesting to watch this, or depending on who's watching it and coming back from it, because I think it might be hard for some people to look at or recognize how Valeria's behavior to be closeted is negatively impacting Raul and Octavia in very similar ways.
Definitely.
And they are both like equal victims of Valeria in that sense.
Yeah.
But it's hard sometimes to not villainize Raul and see him as a part of the oppressive structure.
Yeah, in Valeria's experience, he feels more like a jailer than he does like an actual partner, right? Because if she has this baby with him, then she thinks she's going to be stuck with him for life, right?
Yeah.
And so she'll be locked into place. And so that's why I feel like this movie does such a good job at like portraying Valeria as a very flawed individual. And in this instance, in this argument with Octavia, and when she cheats on Raul, she's in the wrong.
Yeah.
But it's understandable, and you can empathize with her anyway.
Yeah.
And I just really love that about this movie.
Exactly.
So
It
like,
also shows that it negatively impacts everyone.
yeah. So I think it's really interesting that we've chosen this time of her life to follow her through, right? This pregnancy. Because it's like, she almost views, so the baby, when the baby comes out, like, that's the end of her queerness. Like, that's what she thinks. And so that's why she's really, like, trying to be with Octavia now.
She's grasping.
Because she's, like, flip-flopping between two worlds, and she thinks that maybe once this baby's born, she can't do that anymore.
It's like a last flickering light.
Yeah.
Dark.
I know. So then she like storms off and she goes into the middle of the dance floor and then she goes into labour.
Yeah, on the dance floor, she sees, as she's lying on the floor, you know, going into labour, she sees one of the dancers like trips and like breaks their leg, their bones sticking out their leg.
Yeah.
And then we cut to her in the hospital.
And there's a shot, there's a really good shot, but basically she's delivered this baby and all of the doctors leave her for a second. And then one nurse comes back to give her something and then goes again.
Yeah.
They've divided her from the baby as well, because her face is very much close to the camera and then the rest of her bodies and the doctor are in the like almost background.
Where the baby is.
Yeah. And it you know, goes to show again like the lack of care towards mothers as opposed to fetuses and babies.
Because she gets this lack of attention and then she gets pregnant and people seem to sort of want to address the stomach before her. And yet the film obviously has a different POV where it's, you know, cutting off the shot at her stomach and trying to separate her as much as possible.
Yes.
And now pointing out, she's like, I love it so much, she's alright. Just the baby moving and the literal eye line of everyone in the room moving away with it.
Yeah. It's just very well done.
It is.
We cut to a little while after, like maybe it's a couple of weeks or something, because Valeria's back on her feet and they're doing some stuff in the baby's room. Yeah. Raul's holding the baby. He's like, why don't you look at her? Why don't you look at her? And she's like, I do look at her. And she's like looking completely opposite direction. Like she does not want to acknowledge this baby.
She's dealing with this because before this we had a shot of her lying in the hospital bed and Raul holding the baby and he sort of offers up the baby, say, oh hey, here's the baby.
Oh, and she turns away.
She turns away towards the camera.
Yes.
And you have her again taking up most of the screen and this little baby in the background that Raul's nursing, and it's also showing that she's disconnecting herself.
Yeah.
Just as much as others are sort of pushing away towards the baby.
But I wonder if that's because she thinks it's easier. She thinks it's easier because if she doesn't love this baby, then she can kind of go through the motions of it and still know who she is inside, right? But if she does love the baby, then this heteronormative life that she's forcing herself to live and this queer life that's inside of her, they kind of combine and they become more entangled and complicated.
Interesting. I don't think that she's worried about like...
Not like consciously, you know what I mean?
No, I know, but I don't think it's like that she's worried about loving it. I think that she doesn't. I think that she does resent it. I think it's just the fear, as similar to what you're saying, of just if she holds that baby, she, like the flickering light, is making that final statement that she's now a mother, and that somehow she stays away from it as much as possible.
Yeah.
Whether she loves it or not, or hates it, as long as she doesn't like fully embrace it, she doesn't become the mother. Reluctant mother or willing mother, either way, she doesn't want to become the mother. She's still moving herself away from that identity.
I see what you mean. But I just got that impression after like remembering the ending is what I mean.
Same for me though, my point.
Oh, fair enough. So Raul has to go again to another like work conference type thing. And so Valeria sets up like a baby monitor in the baby's room and like she just kind of distances herself from it. It's constantly crying through the scene.
Yeah. She was supposed to feed it, but we see her icing her nipples. It clearly didn't go well.
Yeah.
Again, because she's struggling to, maybe there was a latching issue, etc., which is quite symbolic.
But it's like when your emotions disconnected and the physical disconnection, like it's like this movie is kind of almost naturalistic in the way like mind, body, and heart, they're all connected, right? The mother is supposed to be connected to the baby, but
she
if it's not,
feel anything. And that's when she takes in the baby bottle, which I think implies to be formula with it, or maybe she pumped.
I think pumped.
It's the fact that she tried the nipple and she disconnected from it. and was like, no, I'm going to use this after we've done, because she's struggling with this like relationship with the child, and she sort of sticks the bottle in the baby's mouth for like a few seconds, and it sort of isn't taking it, so she sort of just gives up immediately.
Yeah.
She has no patience for it. She really, I don't know much about postpartum. I'm not saying that that's what she's dealing with, but I guess it reminds me of what I've heard.
Yeah.
You know.
I imagine she's got postpartum depression, but I also think she had prepartum depression. Yeah.
I think she's just got partum depression.
She's just depressed. And she goes to lie in bed, and we can kind of see the baby monitor in the background, and we can see like the screen. You're gonna have to tell it because I can't see very well.
Yeah, so we get like I want to say close up, but it wasn't close enough. Genuinely, even I was struggling. Valeria gets up because of the screaming, crying baby.
Yeah.
And we see her bones on her back, like
crackling
and stuff.
Ooh.
Which she's done the whole film, always snapping her fingers.
Yeah.
That sound.
Her hands as well.
Exactly, always comes from her. And she gets up and leaves the room, out of camera frame. So we think, oh, she's going to the baby. But when we see the baby in the baby monitor, there are these sort of 3, maybe 4 sets of hands that reach into the baby crib, and they sort of lift up the baby together until one pair of hands takes the baby out of the crib. Very creepy, very unusual. A few seconds later, we see Valeria get back into bed. She's not holding a baby, and she goes back to sleep.
She wakes up in the middle of the night again.
From that sleep.
And she looks at the baby monitor, and the baby's gone, and she's like, oh shit. And so she's running around the house looking for this baby. She's terrified that she's lost this baby.
And she has a terrifying like moment where she looks at the window.
Yeah, thinking that maybe the bone woman had thrown it out, because she looks at the exact spot that the woman falls to as well.
But then she hears a cry behind her.
Yeah, and the baby's in the fridge.
The baby's in the fridge.
Sorry, it's not funny to put your baby in the fridge, but it was a bit...
And I've heard that happening, not just like postpartum mothers, but like a lot of mothers dealing with things like who have accidentally put their babies in ovens, left their babies in dangerous places. Like it happens. It's a real life thing. Like
because your hormones are out of whack, so you can't concentrate.
And probably exhaustion on top of
Oh
everything.
my god, physical exhaustion, mental exhaustion,
Yeah.
and considering Valeria's internal struggle as well. Like
and bodily extortion, girl. That baby's sucking everything out of you.
It cuts to Octavia driving Valeria, who's holding the baby, and then the lesbian aunt in the back seat, and they're driving to this slightly more remote house where the White Witch lives with her kids, and they take them into the back room, and there's like a coven of witches.
Very different vibe.
Very different vibe. I will say on the drive here, it's very interesting to see the different ways that Raoul and Octavia show their love. Like Raoul is very much like a practical thinker. He uses his principles first, not in a bad way, but you know what I mean. When she says there's someone in the house, he looks around the house and is like, no, there's nobody there, right? Whereas Octavia, she gets this call saying, can you drive me to this like old witch's house, right? We don't hear the call, but you know what I mean. And she's like, yeah, whatever you need to do it.
Interesting, because I was gonna say, I also think they were very different, but for me it was how Octavia and Valeria communicate. They speak to each other, they share their feelings,
Yeah.
they talk about what they're thinking, whereas Raoul to me was far more like a practical person.
Yeah.
He was the type to like, oh, she thinks her foot's broken, we have to get buckets of like water and we're going to alternate them and I'm going to help her feed and making her breakfast and trying to feed her when the doctor says she's losing weight and sort of doing things and never saying anything. In fact, when he gives her the breakfast that time, I just want to share this, she comes in and she sees it looks nice, it was like Eggs Benedict, but she had no appetite. But she goes and so he goes and then she goes and then he goes and he's like, as he's doing this, he's handing her the plate and he shows her the cutlery and he's like and it becomes this cute like non-verbal thing. But again, it's like the words don't matter, it's just the action, and that's how he shows it. And what I was saying about how it feels like he's just unaware and detached from what his wife's going through is because of the lack of communication. Whereas Octavia and Valeria, when they speak about what is happening. This is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm dealing and struggling with. And obviously she has the privilege of knowing Valeria is like closeted. But still, like, it's so different, and I just...
It's interesting because Raoul, like, to a heteronormative person would seem like the safe option, right? He's well-to-do, he's got a job, he's got a nice flat, his family is rich, he's a man, right? Whereas she doesn't seek safety in Raoul, she seeks safety in an alt kickboxing instructor, woman who, you know, smokes, drinks, and plays in a band.
And may I even claim, like, the reason why their relationship's so non-verbal and so physical is because it almost doesn't matter what they're thinking or saying, it's just what they're doing because they're filling roles.
Yeah.
They're filling heteronormative roles.
Do you know what? I see it often, like, on TikTok and stuff where, like, straight women and straight men will talk about, like, their expectations for a relationship. And I'm not gonna lie, sometimes straight people, their relationship just seem like transactions.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how it feels. It feels like they're just ticking the boxes.
It's an interesting comparison to make, I think.
And do you think it's very similar to what we're saying about building the crib? Where it's like queer people having to actually speak to each other, like Octavia and Valeria to figure out where we stand, what we want, how we're doing this.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you look at the way queer people have to form families, they have to build it brick by brick. They have to find surrogates and donors, or they have to get approved for adoption, or they have to, choose part of their friends to be their found family, that kind of thing. They have to make it in a different way to the way straight people can make it.
And with the straight relationship, it's like the pre-packaged crib.
Yeah.
They already have the boxes to fill. They don't even have to speak. They can just do it because they know already what they're supposed to do. It's all written out for them.
So it's an interesting way of thinking. Not saying that you, the listener, if you're in a straight relationship, good for you, and I hope you're happy. But this is how the film presents it.
And the final thing we get from Octavia is Valeria saying, this isn't an issue with you, it's not an issue with Raul, it's an issue with me. And she apologizes to Octavia, and Octavia says, I forgive you for everything, and drives away.
That's lovely, I like that.
Sort of speeding through this bit, she gets in, she sees the witches, they put some ribbons around the baby, and do what presumably is some kind of protection spell.
And they say the blanket is your baby.
Yeah.
And so then they burn the blanket. They have loads of bells and chiny things, and they do loads of chanting and prayer. And then they I think they put herbs on it and shit like that too. And then they burn the blanket.
They dunk Valeria's head into some water.
I think she dunks her. Doesn't she dunk her own
No,
head?
they dunk her head in.
Oh, okay. I thought she did it herself. And she puts her head on the water, and suddenly she's in a forest, and she's walking around, and then she eventually, does she follow a baby crying?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And then she sees a pile of people, and they're writhing and wriggling together.
I said it looked like a rat king.
A rat king of people.
Yeah.
Which I thought was such a cool image. It's used on a lot of the posters. I wish we had gotten to see more of it.
Agreed. And it sort of untangles itself and becomes a dozen bone women.
Bone woman, yeah. But isn't this the part where you said that they all look like her?
Yeah, they all had this. She's had this braid that she wears almost the entire film.
There's a lot of emphasis, close-up shots on
her plaiting it.
Yeah.
And they all have the exact same braid. So it's this is obviously seen herself. And all of the bone women, again, bones sticking out the arms and the legs. Every single one. Which again, it became so because in horror, that's one of the creepiest things to see.
Yes!
Snap where the bone comes out the thing. But they did it so much that eventually I was like,
okay,
it's almost not bothering me anymore. It just looks like an accessory. Sounds so bad.
Yeah. And they chase her for a bit, and then eventually they just tear her apart.
Yeah.
They attack her.
They mangle her.
Yeah.
They snap her legs and her arms. And when they leave, we see her, she literally looks like a spider that's just been stepped on. And then that's when she sees her baby's blanket right in front of her. And she sort of reaches for it.
Yeah.
And as she does, the blanket grows and walks away. And suddenly it's a grown person with the blanket over them. Like a
Mother Mary.
Suddenly back in the room,
watching
this woman walk away from her. And the woman turns and...
It's her.
It's Valeria. Or should we say it's her as a mother.
Yeah.
It's her identity as a mother. Which then suddenly sets alight and it burns away. And this version of her collapses under the blanket. And it no longer exists.
I think it's so interesting the way this movie kind of pits living life openly as a queer woman to living life as a mother. And I think this, the whole symbol of her motherly image burning, it does, hammer in your face, look, the mothers are different people, they're different human beings when they're not looking after kids all the damn time. And so it's not, seen as, a negative thing. A lot of movies, they just shove a baby into every, woman at the end, and that'll be a happy ending. We watched, I think after we watched all these horror movies, we watched The Other Woman, and Cameron Diaz is this hard career woman, driven, yes, she's making friends and she's a good person, but you know what I mean. But at the end of the movie, they just shove a baby in her, and it's this isn't the answer in this instance, because life is much more complicated than that.
And it's so interesting why they do it, because the film's about to end, and they want you to know that her life is going well.
Yeah.
And so to do that, they put a baby in it. That's how we know, oh look, her life's going well.
Yeah. To not want children is not the norm amongst women, or at least it hasn't been for a long, long, long time, you know? And so you see this filmic language a lot, where the ending is the happily pregnant woman or the happy mother. But in this instance, she's seen that and she's experienced the pregnancy, the baby, and she's not happy. It's beyond the end of the movie, if that makes sense. And so that's when it burns away, and she's okay. She knows what she has to do now.
She wakes up on the couch, and her aunt is there. They sit her up, and they hand her baby to her. They say the ritual went well.
Yeah.
And she starts cooing the baby and rubbing her face against it in an incredibly affectionate way that she couldn't before.
Yeah.
She couldn't
because now
feel those feelings.
Yeah.
But now all of a sudden, she's cut away that expectation of motherhood.
Yeah.
She suddenly feels love for the child.
She feels love because the thing is, I don't think she ever, yes, she detached herself from this baby, but as soon as she learns that she can accept herself, and she has to make the hard decision, you know, to be out, to be gay, you know, to be out as a queer person, then she realizes that, like, the love for the baby doesn't take that away anymore.
Well, for me,
that's where I got that interpretation from.
See, my interpretation was that she didn't love it, and it's because she viewed the baby as motherhood. And now that she looked at the baby and she's burned away her motherhood, that was what's symbolizing. And now she sees the baby, she knows she's going to leave now. She no longer sees it as the burden and weight of motherhood. She can look at it almost as if looking at someone else's baby. Not saying she's looking at someone else's baby, but she sees it as just this small thing that was once a part of her, and it's just a baby now. And she can now actually, she feels feelings for it because she no longer looks at it and sees it as responsibility, as motherhood, etc. So she loves on it. And you are questioning what's about to happen here.
Yeah.
When she's being affectionate to it.
And the next scene,
you have her and Raoul crying.
Yeah. She's crying, Raoul's crying, they're on this balcony.
Again, non-verbal.
Non-verbal. Raoul's holding the baby and she picks up her toolbox and she just leaves.
She gets her suitcase, she cries, and then she goes out the front door. She stops for a beat.
Yeah.
I think maybe she wipes a tear and she sort of lets out an exhausted sigh. And then the film ends.
That was Huesera the Bone Woman, fucking hell.
Okay, I guess I'll go first. I give the film a 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed the film. I think it's a very good film. As far as horror goes, I'm trying to think like the Bone Woman sequences and stuff. It felt like a backseat. It's one of those horror films where like the spookiness and stuff like isn't the horror. The horror is the situation. It's the story. It's the positiveness. It's the heteronormativity. So I wonder how like this film feels to someone who's never experienced a queer experience or queer lifestyle or anything along these lines. I wonder how this sort of feels towards them or how they would view Valeria is incredibly different.
Yeah.
I can imagine that there are some heterosexual cisgendered people who could watch this and really villainize Valeria. See her as this person who's like inconveniencing everyone's lives and ruining this child's life, right, by leaving in the end. I could 100% see someone having that interpretation. They'd be wrong, but I could still see it happening.
Yeah.
And so it's quite interesting getting to see it with nuance and knowing like, wow, nothing truly is just one way or one answer. And it makes you question sometimes, in what ways am I ignorant to other experiences? And that's what my thoughts. But yeah, 4 out of 5, very good.
Yeah, I give it 4 out of 5 as well. I loved it. I think initially in my notes I put a 3.5, but to be honest with you, the more I speak about this movie, the more I appreciate it. And I did really enjoy it. I liked the choice to have a very flawed character. Like we spoke about this briefly before, and you said like people could villainize Valeria, but I've experienced like the ideas of comphet because there is a part of you that thinks it'll be easier to conform, and on paper it would be, but emotionally it's not. And the options presented to her are have a baby or be ostracized by your entire family, and so. Obviously, that's not my experience. My family is very supportive, but like it's a very big fear.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly relatable, and so the entire film is sat with this uncomfortableness because it sits a little too close to home, which I think just works so well. Like the filmmakers, they definitely, either have this experience or are just very empathetic towards queer people, and I just think that's amazing. The comphet representation was great. Like a lot of the time, like lesbians are perceived as like man-hating or like denying themselves, so it's good to have that kind of more nuance towards it. The most terrifying thought is being trapped into a life you don't want. I will not accept a life I do not deserve.
I will not accept a life I do not deserve.
I liked the ending. I know we had a little bit of a debate about the ending because you think that there should have been a bit more of a breath afterwards, which is fair enough. But I just very much enjoyed the simplicity of the ending because she had to make a very hard choice. And we've been watching her through a very hard moment of her life, and the fact is she can just be herself now without the camera following her, if that makes sense.
Yeah, see, I think we agree completely on the ending and what it means.
Yeah.
And what it should mean, what the message is.
You just prefer the execution to be different.
In execution, I think I just hold on to that little worry that we have all this nuance. We know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But just thinking about those people out there who might need a little bit more of a hammer over the head, I guess that just... I always got my back up when it comes to any kind of like minority, whether it's people of colour, whether it's queer people, alternative people. I'm always just like, because I'm so ready. Like one of the other movies you referenced, which kind of demonizes queer people, or representation is bad. Oh,
that was, before this we were discussing High Tension's ending, which I hated. I wasn't a fan of that one. But this, I just have such an appreciation for this movie. Like, it's so good.
And you trust the filmmakers because of everything else they've done.
The only thing that I didn't like about it was I thought the climax was kind of anticlimactic. The bit where it's marketed towards us is this writhing, racking of people, and I just think that this movie could be fucking terrifying. It could be terrifying, but that isn't the point, you know? And I kind of just wanted it to be a little scarier towards the climax. That's just a personal thing, though.
I see what you're saying, and definitely they should have taken more advantage of the action.
Yeah.
I would say for me, I'm someone who prefers more existential horrors.
That's
I've come to realize.
Yeah.
Because that scares me a little bit more. I think that's how I felt about Obsession, where like, to me, I immerse myself so immediately that I see anything that the character's going through is just like terrifying, awful, and I just villainize, you know, Bear and stuff. Whereas I know to some other people I might watch it, it's like seeing it from a more objective viewpoint and just thinking that it's unnecessary, or like seeing how it can possibly be harmful, right?
Yeah.
Same here, like to me, it was a terrifying film.
Yeah.
Especially because I also have a very weird relationship with children as someone who was like, had no choice but was kind of forced into childcare and that kind of life at a young age. It touched on a lot of those personal feelings for me, and then the queerness and the closetedness and heteronormativity and the gender queerness and the bone breaking. I have like multiple poems literally speaking about snapping into shape to fit into heteronormativity, and it's so existential, so big to me, so like personal. That was terrifying to me. That the bone moment to me wasn't scary at all. Everything else is what really, really got me, like shivers down my spine.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, because the everyday scenes were the most like disturbing parts of the movie, but I just think that as a representation of this heteronormativity, the Bone Woman could have been, that's what I would have personally done. It's more of a creative difference than a flaw with the movie, if that makes sense.
For me with the ending, I feel like the ritual she does was anticlimactic because it had no repercussions or consequences, because they really built it up as you do not want to do that. Like, it's the last thing you want to do. And even her aunt at one point says, I did one of those and look at this. And she shows a huge scar on her shoulder. Clearly these things are supposed to be dangerous. And we even thought after she sort of sees the visage of her whatever burn away and she wakes up on the couch, we couldn't see her lower half. And we thought, oh, it's going to turn out that her legs are broken. Yeah. That she almost had to sacrifice her legs to go through this process. But they didn't. Yeah. She doesn't have a scar. She doesn't have a scratch. Yeah. Anything. So it almost feels like, oh, like she should have just done it from the start. Yeah. Like, it could have been that easy to do the ritual. Like, we thought it was like this dangerous thing.
It's kind of a plot hole.
Yeah, she's like pushed to the point of like, and they do say it's a risk. They don't say you're gonna get her. Yeah. But just building up that risk so much, I'm like, I don't need to necessarily sacrifice anything, but man, we could have done it from the start. Yeah. She didn't have to be pushed to the point of like, I have no other choice. I need to do this terrifying thing, and it wasn't that terrifying.
I agree with that. But I would love to know your perspective on the Bone Woman. Please do tell us. Especially like if you're straight, I would love to hear from you about this, because like we obviously had a very queer interpretation of the movie as it was a queer movie. But to see a perspective from the outside in would be very interesting to me.
It would.
Do you have a favourite queer horror movie? Let us know. What is your favourite thing to do for Pride? I'm trying to think of all the questions to ask the audience. They never comment, but they should!
Why are you not commenting? Stupid bitch.
Homophobe.
No. You can find us on TikTok, Instagram,
Letterboxd, YouTube.
Oh, YouTube, like and subscribe, and wherever you get your podcasts.
Like us, rate us, share us. Pride, bye!
Be gay. Oh, no, be trans this year, but be gay.
Be gay and trans.
No, gay's a bit old. Be trans.